Hello everyone. Today I get online to work with you a little bit on your English. For the purpose of practicing pronunciation, I'm gonna read a passage titled, "Does charging motorists more actually lead to less congestion?" When London first introduced the congestion charge in 2003, almost everyone was in favor. It seemed a tough but necessary decision. Something had to be done to deal with the increasingly heavy traffic. Only the Federation for Small Businesses opposed to the charge, feeling that it would damage trade for small shopkeepers. Within the first 2 years, however, the traffic in the capital had fallen by about 30%, a dramatic improvement. The success of the scheme seemed obvious, and the other cities rushed to copy it. Since then, however, traffic has slowly risen and congestion levels are now very similar to those in 2002. In fact, a recent survey showed that London is now the fourth most congested city in Europe. The only difference is that now motorists are paying for the privilege of sitting in a gridlock. Supporters of the charge argue that without the congestion charge, the traffic jams would be even worse, but clearly this is hard to prove either way. Attempts to introduce more general road pricing have stalled. The proposal was for every vehicle to be fitted with a satellite receiver to calculate exactly where and when driver was traveling, charging from 2p per mile on uncongested roads to 1.34 on the business roads at peak times. An online petition against the proposal, signed by over 1.8 million people, made it very clear how the public felt about the latest tax, and for now at least, nothing further has been done to introduce it. Another strategy has been implemented with an aim of reducing the number of cars on the road is that of introducing a higher parking charges throughout the town and city centers. However, evidence suggests that again, this is not reducing the amount of traffic, but simply encouraging people to drive to out-of-town shopping centers where parking is free. In this case, the victims are the small independent shops on our high streets. Ultimately, all these attempts to force motorists out of their cars have failed, and we need to ask ourselves why. The most obvious reason would be to be a lack of any real alternative. Public transport in the UK is expensive, unreliable, and slow. No wonder we usually choose to go by car. Milton Keynes, recently named as the most car-dependent city in Britain, has a public transport system where a 10-minute car journey during rush hour can often take up to 2 hours by bus. In contrast, Nottingham, the least car-dependent city according to the survey, has invested in 30 miles of cycle tracks, an efficient bus service, and a 9-mile network of trams used by 10 million passengers a year. Clearly, we need to support any measure which will reduce congestion, both for our own convenience and, more importantly, to curb global warming. However, more thought needs to be given to the solutions. Perhaps the government needs to consider spending more money on transport infrastructure before making motorists to pay more for using their cars.